America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. City Clerk Ed Norris, would you call the roll?
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Present.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss.
Here.
That's everybody. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. With no corrections, all those in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Agenda passes. Next is the consent agenda. These are regular routine items presented as a single item. Is there any of these that a council member would like removed? Okay. Item A, regular council meeting minutes of January 16th, 2018. Special council meeting minutes of the same date. Retirement Board meeting minutes of October 23rd. Arts and Cultural Diversity Commission meeting minutes of November 9th and December 14th. Parks and Recreation Commission meeting minutes, January 17th. Request to approve the payment of invoices from Dixon Engineering for engineering consultant services for the elevated tank painting project in the total amount of $19,325. G, request to advertise for bids for the 2018 roof replacement project M680. And finally, licenses, new and renewals as submitted for February 5th, 2018. Nothing has been requested removed. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried. We have a visiting elected official. We'd like to welcome State Representative Wittenberg. We're so glad you made it to update us in Oak Park.
Yes, now we're on. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, City Manager, everyone up here. Good to see you all. Nice chilly evening. I was actually just coming in just to say hello, and we have our flyers for our upcoming community conversations, our coffee hours, if you will. And so just wanted to update everyone on the dates. Again, with there's 7 different communities in the 27th House District. And so we try to rotate to make sure we get 2 a month and get to all the 7 communities. So the first one is actually tomorrow, February 6th at 6:30 p.m. at Hazel Park Library. And then we have one this Saturday, 11 a.m. at the Huntington Woods Library. And then March 7th, which is a Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. at the Ferndale Library. And then Oak Park, March 9th at 11 a.m. At the Recreation Center.
So people
And then there's
can
more after that, but I figured I'd give the ones leading up to and to Oak Park, yes.
People can come and ask you questions about anything that is happening in Lansing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's very informal. Usually I'll give an update on what's going on in Lansing and let people know some of the things, the bills that we've been voting on, some of the legislation that I've been personally working on, and then open it up for discussion. And people can offer suggestions. I can answer any questions if they have any concerns. But it's usually, it's kind of an organic discussion, and it's different every time. So, and you don't have to live in one of those communities to show up. You can come to any of the other coffee hours, and even sometimes people from outside the 27th district come and join us. And they're pretty good discussions. And there's always something going on in Lansing that we can talk about, some craziness. And then for people who are unable to make it to any of those events, email me or call me. I'm always happy to help. The email, again, is robertwittenberg@house.mi.gov, and you can call me at 517-373-0478. And, easiest way to get a hold of me. But again, the community conversations are usually a pretty good experience for people to come out and voice their opinion one way or another.
Thank you. Thank
So-
you so much. You're always there for us to ask questions and provide information, and we appreciate your accessibility.
Thank you. Yeah, and that goes not just for the council and the mayor and the city manager, it goes for all the residents of the community. I'm always here to help. That's why I do what I do. I enjoy serving the community, so if there's ever anything I can do to help, please let me know. And I don't know if any of you have any questions this evening while I'm here. Can I make a plug? I know Regina might make a plug on this as well. On February 25th in the evening, I'm on the board for the Tri-Community Coalition, which is for drug-free schools and communities and substance abuse prevention, and for the Berkeley and Oak Park school districts. And there's a comedy night at Mark Ridley's, which is February 25th, right, on a Sunday. And I think that would be a wonderful way for people to get out and support the Tri-Community Coalition. So it starts, doors are at 6, the show is at 7. I got that all off memory here, so I was calling people today, reminding them about it. So I figure while I'm here, I might as well bring that up. It's another organization I'm involved with that I'm proud to be a part of.
Thank you for
So.
coming.
All right, that was easy. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next, if we could hear from Director Cooper.
Good evening to our mayor pro tem, our council, city manager, and city attorney and city clerk here. Good evening. As all of you are aware, this past July, the Department of Public Safety put into service its very first K-9 officer. The K-9 is officer named after our Officer Mason Samborski, who was killed in the line of duty. And actually, the K-9 handler is Officer Mike Hodakowski, and Sergeant Joseph Myers overseeing the K-9 program. Just prior to the actual K-9 division being formed, I was contacted just kind of randomly by Mr. Kenneth Sherman, who's one of our fine residents of Oak Park, and he's also a recent graduate of one of our Citizens Academy, Police Citizens Academy for the Public Safety Department. He had advised me that he inquired actually and asked if we had a K-9 division. And at that point I said, it's funny that you mentioned that. We're in the process of actually starting our very first one. And he wanted to make a donation in the memory of his late parents, Mr. Morris Sherman, and mother's is Frances Sherman, correct, Mr. Sherman? If I could have Mr. Sherman come front and center at this moment. And officer, I'd like to bring in Officer Mike Hodakowski and Sergeant Joe Meyer. Actually, I'm going to put you on the spot and make you stand up here front and center.
Oh,
And he actually brought a picture frame.
turn around and, nice, nice.
You could come, stand right in between the center of them there, Mr. Sherman. We appreciate that. As all of you know, or I'm sure the city manager knows by now, starting and forming a K-9 unit is quite costly. There's a lot of equipment. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into the planning and maintaining of the program and the division. And Mr. Sherman was so kind to actually be willing to donate a bite suit for Mace to train with, and Mike Hodakowski actually has the bite suit over here. Mike, if you want to grab and just kind of explain it. He has a wireless mic, so you can turn on your mic and actually explain it to him exactly what the bite suit does. It's very expensive. You're looking at those suits, they go high end, you're looking at about $3,000 for a bite suit. You got your mic, you can,
Yeah, I believe I'm on there.
yeah.
So this is one of our most important training tools that we use for getting the dogs where we need them. One of the things that Mace is trained for is aggression. That is for my protection, for the protection of others if we need it. So in order to be trained in aggression, we need to practice it. So this is where this comes into play. This is called a semi-competition suit. It's made by a company called Demon A. And one thing with this suit, when you're in it and he bites, Sergeant Meyer can attest to it, he can actually feel your muscles start to twitch. And what that does, it gives him the best real-life scenario that we can do short of offering up a limb. So another good thing with this is we do it often, and it makes leaps and bounds on your training. It's just simply to lay it out.
Wow.
We just simply lay it on the ground, and I do obedience by it. and I make him lay on it. I make him walk towards it, lay down, and all our commands. The reason why he isn't in here, this is, you'll see when I do a little demo, his main thing that he does is all for his reward. His reward's this toy right here. He only gets this toy at work, and he only does it when he does something good or he listens to me. Well, if you look, they're made pretty much out of the same thing. So this is the ultimate toy for him. So that's why he's not in here at this time, because it'd be, like I say, we can't do anything in here just because of the space. In the summertime, Mr. Sherman will be invited out. We'll go over to the outdoors, and we can give him a session, because we got to always keep in mind safety first. So, but without this, we wouldn't be at the progress that we made. When I first got Mace, we went down to Indiana and picked him out, and I mean, I was scared almost to put my hand in the kennel when he was in there, just because you don't know. They give you this dog, and they tell you to work with it. And now it's leaps and bounds at just because this piece of equipment has made such a difference in our training level. And I appreciate it, and I thank you again. So.
Yeah. And on behalf of, like I said, the entire Public Safety Department, we can't express enough of our gratitude, and on behalf of, obviously, our city manager here as well, and council. Crucial piece of equipment, like I said, very costly, and we thank you for your generous, donation to our K-9 division.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before I present this award to Mr. Sherman, I just thought I'd like to read it to everyone. Presented in recognition of Kenneth Sherman for his generous gift to the Oak Park Public Safety Department in memory of his parents, Francis and Morris Sherman. One was in the Navy. I see, World War II. Nice. Mr. Sherman, a graduate of the 2017 Oak Park Public Safety Citizens Academy, has graciously donated a bite suit to the department's K-9 unit. This gift allows the department the ability to build and maintain the police dog's skills while reducing injury to both the decoy and the dog. The City of Oak Park is grateful for such an important gift that is critical to the training mission of the K-9 unit. We can't thank you enough for thinking of us with this gift. Thank you.
We're going to bring, Officer Hodakowski is actually going to bring Mace in a couple seconds here and do a demonstration, and he'll actually go through it. But before he does that, we got another surprise recognition that we'd like to make. Sergeant Joe Meyer actually will go ahead and explain our next special guest that we had here.
If Jari wants to come on up here. I met Jari and her mother a little over a week ago. In a not so fortunate circumstance, her and her mother had broken down on the side of the road at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and she had told me that she wanted to be a police officer. So I invited her to the station one night to come and see all the station and the fire trucks and the police cars and everything. And she had seen Mace's picture on the wall, and I gave her one of Mace's baseball cards, and she wanted to come and see the dog today. So she also brought a donation of her own, his favorite toys, tennis balls, and some bones. So I wanted to say thank you for her to coming up here and giving another donation.
Outstanding.
have a seat, and he's going to bring them in here in just a minute.
Mike, if you can go ahead and grab, go ahead
Yeah,
and grab Mace. And then-
absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oops.
We're going to get a picture of.
Oh, okay, I'm just throw this back there.
No, she wants to be right here.
He starts them early.
That's right, that's right.
That's right. Nice.
That's very nice. You go get it. We just cleared out the council chambers, huh? Just, I don't know, if you didn't know, Mace does not like the color blue, so if you're wearing blue, you're gonna have to leave. No, just kidding. Run for the hills. No, Miss Bannon, you're fine. No, he's not gonna. We're not gonna take him in that area. No. Yeah. Citizens Academy. I hadn't planned on it, but I can if you like. Oh, okay. While we're waiting for Mace to come in, Councilmember Weiss wanted me to talk about the upcoming Citizens Academy. The date escapes me. I believe it's the, what is it? Is it May? There's 5 weeks in May, I believe it is. 5 Wednesdays in May. We will be having another Oak Park Citizens Academy. We are trying to get our residents and those who are interested to come out and actually participate. So please don't hesitate. With further ado, I'll be quiet. I don't want to get Mace upset.
Live.
So you go ahead, Mike, and explain to him
Okay.
what you're actually going to do and what's.
So everybody, this is Mace. I don't know for those of you that haven't met him yet. So Mace is a narcotics dog. He's also certified in tracking, aggression, handler protection, article searches, building searches, area searches. I'm probably missing one in there. But like I say, the main thing, his main drive is for his toy, Platz. Quiet. He knows when we come into these settings, he knows it's usually playtime. So that's why he's pretty excited. I bring him over there in the fire hall, and you got to put those away because he'll want them. Here, Platz, sit. I speak to Mace in Dutch, so that's one of the things. There's a few reasons for that, obviously, so the normal layperson can't give him any commands, and he's imported from overseas, or from Europe, so that's probably has a little bit to do with it as well. Yesterday was actually his 2nd birthday, so he's still a puppy, and that sometimes can cause some issues because, like I say, he's a puppy. He's ready to go always. He's a Belgian Malinois. He was actually imported from Poland. So with that being said, I'll just, quick little demo. There's a narcotic hide in the room somewhere. You guys can see how he finds it. And then we'll do a little obedience for him so you guys can see what he does. Obviously, he knows my toy's on. When he gets, this is a work setup for his collars. He knows it's work time. He doesn't wear these at home. Same with my uniform, he associates that with work as well. When I put my uniform on, he actually goes and sits by the door of my car now. I'm ready to go. So, like I say, we'll start off with a little obedience. He may kind of go over where the hide is because he can probably smell it from here. And if he does, we'll just address that with that being said. And then just keep the tennis balls away because we'll let you play with them after, okay? All right, blijf. Blijven. No, blijf. 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 Platz. Blijf, blijf. Platz. Plaats. Blijf. Blijf. No. No. Blijf. Yeah, buddy. Get it. Here. Oh, you want to play tug? Oh, this is his number one thing. It's right here. Hours. We could do it for hours. The one thing with the toy, it works into all our work. The obedience aspect is everything for him. For instance, if I'm chasing after someone, I release him, he goes after that person gives up, he needs to stop. That's where this comes in. This is his main number one toy next to that. So, Mace, los, blijf, plaats, no, blijf, off. Yes. Oh, good boy, come here. Good boy, come here. Oh, yeah. Good job, buddy. Good job. Mace. Los. Plaats. Plaats. No, blijf. Yes. No. Plaats. Voel je close. Off. Blijven, no. Blijf. Blijf. Plaats. Blijf, no. Blijf, no. Plaats. Close. Quiet. Yes. Good boy, come here. So we do this probably total combined an hour or two per day. This is what this consists of. So I say if we were outdoors, it would be a little bit better because we'd have more room to show you a few more tricks, but that can happen in the summertime. Mace. Los. Blijf, no. Blijf. Blijven. Sit. Blijf. Hey, zoeken. Zoeken. Zoek here. What do you got, buddy? What do you find something? What? What's there? What? Oh, good boy. So there was the narcotic side. You can see it's clear as day. He's in odor, probably back here on the wall. That's where you saw him turn. And then it's his job to go to it, and we call it source it out. Wherever the strongest odor is, that's where he needs to sit. He stares at the odor. You have a passive dog and you have an aggressive dog. He's a passive dog, so it's just sit and stare at it. Certified in heroin, cocaine, marijuana, and ecstasy. So that's it. Like I say, we can do more outdoors. Space kind of constricts us a little bit, but here. Come here. You want to play tug with them? Yeah? Here. You could. Here. All you got to do is just grab it. And I got him. Don't worry about him. He's not going to hurt you. He pulls really, really hard. Ready? Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. All right, you can let it go, and then we'll have you throw it. See, now he wants to play with you. He'll be your friend. Grab the handle. There you go. Good job, buddy. Want to throw him one? All right, let go of it. You can let go. Mace, sit. Hey, los. Blijf, no. Blijf, no. You can just throw it over there by Sard. Sit. Go get it, buddy. Come here. Oh, that leash is in your face. So we'll let you play with them more outside where we get a little bit of room, okay? Come on, pet him. Thanks for the tennis balls. He'll chew them up. Any questions? All right, here. You can have your toy, buddy. You want to help me walk him out?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council, and again, Mr. Sherman, thank you. And thank our sweet young lady here with the
Yes.
tennis balls and the little
Many
doggy.
thanks to Mace, our city spokes dog. Wow. Ooh, how do you follow that with accounting reports?
Excuse me, Mayor, could I just have one more quick second?
Yes.
Councilmember Rich just wanted me to bring up a couple of points as far as Mace. Mace is actually out in the field and has actually been working, has been doing a very nice job, specifically for our department as well as other agencies when he's on duty and they've called for assistance. We had an incident, I can tell you a little before the holiday season where we were actually trying to apprehend a bad guy, and Mace picked up the scent and was hot on the trail, and we were actually able to locate the weapon that was used in a crime, as well as the car keys to the vehicle. So just to kind of show you that how finite the skills are. Like I said, we've recovered narcotics on traffic stops that he's been a part of. He's been throughout some of the other agencies, assisting them with suspect apprehension, as well as some drug detection. So he's put in a lot of work. He's doing a lot of work, and he's, like I say, just a puppy right now. So those are just a few things that just came to the top of my forethoughts there. So we're happy to have him, and he's, like I said, a welcome addition, and he's really earning his keep here. So thank council. Thank you again, City Manager, for allowing us to have Mace on board.
Thank you, Director Cooper. Okay. Now, number 11. We need a motion to approve payment for an invoice submitted by Secret, sorry? 8. Sorry, missed 8A. Public hearing. We're going to open a public hearing to discuss an approval of a request by Sweet Soul Bistro, 13400 8 Mile Road, for the issuance of a Class C liquor license and dance permit. So first, I will open the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak about this Sweet Soul Bistro liquor license? Please come up. Give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Tina Polk, and I reside at 21850 Clothesline. And my question is, exactly where would the Soul Food restaurant be located? I know it's on 8 Mile, but whereabouts?
13400 8 Mile, 13400.
Is that the old restaurant where, right there at Coolidge?
Yes. Yep.
And
10 million things.
yes. And who are they catering to have a dance permit? Is it going to be a club or just since they want a dance permit? That's my question.
Right. We'll get some, is there someone here from, yes?
Can I have Mark Hotz from our city clerk's office? Mark is the administrator for our liquor license application process. Could you give us a brief overview in terms of the applicant's request?
Good evening, everyone. Ms. Green is present, and she's available to answer any concerns or questions you may have as well. But it's my understanding that what's envisioned when it comes to, it's not a club. The ordinance requires that you have to have a restaurant, and at least 50% of the revenue generated at the venue has to be from the sale of food. And so what she's contemplating, I believe, is some jazz music, and there is going to be a dance floor. I'm not exactly sure because I have not seen the drawings, but again, I'm sure Ms. Green can elaborate. Yeah, primarily is my understanding.
Thank you.
As for the other requirements of the ordinance, this is the first time we've actually had an initial application for a Class C liquor license since we made the change from the tavern license. So she's met all the requirements under the ordinance. We've got the sign-offs from all of the departments. Some of them are contingent on the subsequent improvements to the building being completed. The ordinance requires that that be done within 6 months from the date that the council approves the license and/or liquor control. As we've done in the past, we have 2 separate resolutions. We have the resolution that the state sends for their purposes. Then we have our own separate resolution that incorporates all the requirements. And the reason why we do it separately is we don't want the things that we require to somehow interfere with the state or get them to, ask questions or delay their processing. Now, I'm not sure what else you may have questions or what additional information you may want.
I want to, Just I wanted to add another point, a couple points of information. Just, council members, once we close the application, you obviously have the right to consider this for approval. But one of the things I'd mention is that this has, as Mark said, met all of the departmental approvals, and then I, of course, have signed off on it. It still does, this is contingent, if you approve it, it's still contingent upon receiving a building permit and going through the requisite processes on that front, just the same. So it's an advance approval. It's not abnormal in other cities to see something like that, but there still are some things to go through before this can actually be submitted.
And I believe in both the city manager's memo and in the resolution, we specify things that will be required to be provided to the clerk's office before we would actually issue the license. So for instance, we need to see the license from the county authorizing the service of food. We need to see the license from the state. We need to see the insurance. We need to see the certification of the training that the Liquor Control Commission requires. In addition, we gave you a copy of the contract that's required by the ordinance. Ms. Green has signed it tonight. Again, we wouldn't process it and submit it for the signatures from the representatives of the city until she provides all of that other documentation and all of those other requirements are met.
Question. Member Weiss.
My understanding, too, from looking at the contract or agreement is that the occupancy limit is about 40. Is that correct?
It used to be that the ordinance required that there be a minimum of 40. I'm not sure what the requirements would be from a technical and planning perspective, what they would require based on the plans that are submitted. That I don't know the answer to. The other thing I neglected to mention is that the ordinance requires that the applicant obtain special land use approval. That was done last year. The Planning Commission did it, I believe, on April 24th, and then subsequently on May 1st, the council affirmed that recommendation from the Planning Commission. So things like that, at least in part, would have been addressed. So for instance, I know part of the approval process was in the nice weather, they want to have outside dining, that kind of thing.
Mayor?
Councilmember Burns.
I don't have a question, more or less just a statement. I do recall over a year or so, maybe longer, when the idea initially came up. And I'm very pleased to see that there were a lot of specifics and details that had to be obtained in order for her to get this permit. So I'm very glad that we're moving forward, and I'm really glad that we have someone who has purchased that property on 8 Mile in Coolidge that have been so many different things in an eyesore. And hopefully with the success, because this is not her first establishment, and with her previous success, hopefully it spills over into this and it becomes a nice part of Oak Park.
Thank you. Any further questions? Audience questions? Yes. If there are no further members of the audience who would like to speak, I'd like to close the public hearing. No one else? Public hearing is closed, and now we can have an approval of the request by Sweet Soul Bistro, 13400 8 Mile Road, for the issuance of a Class C liquor license and dance permit. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved?
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion or any questions for the owner or the city? Okay. Thank you. We are ready to vote. Thank you so much for your work and explanation. Appreciate it.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Motion unanimously approved. Welcome to Oak Park. We'd love this to be another successful restaurant. Back when 8 Mile Road was busier, it had been very successful, and we're hoping that the music and your good management will bring it back. Thank you. Okay, now, no communications or special licenses. Is there an approval for payment of the invoice submitted by Seacrest, Wardle, Lynch, Hampton, and Truex and Morley for legal services in the total amount of $106.93?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Questions or discussion?
I don't think I've ever seen a legal bill this small before.
Must be an error.
I will take it.
A roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes. Motion carried. We're at the city manager portion. City Manager Tungate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I'd like to ask our Deputy Finance Director, Jamin Winters, to join me at the podium for 15A, please.
Good evening, everyone. All right, I have quite a few items to go over, so try not to get too excited. The first item is the quarterly investment report for period ending December 31st, 2017. The second quarter investment report shows a total citywide cash and investments of $24,566,485. This is comprised of cash in our operating account of $6.5 million, roughly, short-term investments in the Oakland County investment pool of roughly $5 million, and long-term investments in totaling $13 million. The second quarter saw bond prices drop, which resulted in higher yields for new investments and reductions in unrealized gains on investments currently held. The city has maximized investment return on short-term cash by utilizing Oakland County's investment pool and minimizing the amount maintained in the checking and daily depository accounts. So compared to last year, the same time period, the interest income is pretty similar. It's down just a little bit, but for the reasons that I described previously.
Council members, I just wanted to weigh in too. That I just want to remind you that since we have gone from where we were to now investing as part of the investment pool of Oakland County, we are more than quadrupling our returns on these same exact dollars that otherwise we wouldn't have.
Nice. Okay. So all you need is an acceptance
Correct.
to receive and file? Okay, motion to receive and file the quarterly investment report.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Jamin, 15B, please.
15B is the quarterly financial report for the same period ending December 31st, 2017. Going over revenues of the general fund, revenues are approximately $15.1 million, which represents 74% of the annual budget. This being that we're only 50% through the year, that number does seem a little bit large, and that's mainly because of seasonal reasons. Property taxes, we've currently collected 94% of what was billed. That is a strong number. We'll also collect more at settlement time from the county, which will increase that amount. But that is the primary reason that our revenues are currently at 74% to date. We've also, let's see, our fines and forfeiture revenue is running a little behind budget, but better than last year, the same time period. So the original district court budget totaled $1.792 million, and 47% of the estimate has been received in the second quarter.
What do you see?
Removing the hide, I believe. You're all right. For total, on the expenditure side, we are approximately at $10.4 million, which represents 51% of the annual budget. This is more in line with what we'd expect, obviously being halfway through the year. 51% seems a little bit more realistic or understandable. The reason we are a little bit over, there's quite a few bullet points here. I won't go through all of them, but if you do have questions, obviously don't hesitate to ask. But a large part would be the legal fees. In the situation of our labor attorney, they do bill in advance, so they're currently at 75% of their budget, again, because they do bill in advance. What other large items? There's also, again, seasonal items that I discussed a little bit before. So you can see for Parks Forestry Department, it's at 67%, which is over, obviously, because of the seasonal nature of their expenditures. Outdoor activities and special events are at 54% and 79% respectively. And that, again, is because of seasonal demands. And lastly, of course, the swimming pool facility is at 56%. The swimming pool does fall over, the use of the swimming pool is open over 2 fiscal years, typically from June through August, which would mean we have a lot of startup costs or opening costs in the latter part of the fiscal year, and then the operating costs would fall into the beginning of a new fiscal year. So overall, the general fund operations are in line with the annual budget. The projected fund balance remains at the targeted levels of 15% of annual expenditures. The annual operating budget is balanced, and the city continues to address the long-term legacy costs of OPEB and pensions by making contributions in excess of required amounts.
Are there questions on this one? Is there, motion to file?
So moved?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Item C, 15C, it's a resolution to approve requesting budget amendment for period ending 12/31/2017. So I'll go over some of the larger items on this budget amendment. You can see for the second quarter, there's about $105,000 worth of budget amendments being requested. You can see that the initial audited fund balance for the fiscal year was $3.8 million. There was $100,000 of amended budgets from previous city council meetings for the the deficit elimination plan. And then I'll go over some of the details of this $105,000 amendment that's being requested. The first thing would be an increase actually in business license and permit revenue. It's greater than what we had budgeted and greater than the prior year. It would be an increase of approximately $16,000. We were pretty conservative in our budget numbers just because, again, it's one of those things with new businesses coming in, we're not sure on exactly where to budget, and it's better to be conservative than risky. There was an additional $45,000 that came in from DTE Energy Efficiency Program Incentive Check, which was the rebate for some of the LED lighting that we did throughout the city. This was not budgeted just because, again, being conservative, and we weren't entirely sure exactly how much it was going to be. But when it came in, we did ring it up, or we did record it into the general fund. So that will go to offset, of course, the initial cost of changing over the LED plus the savings that we would receive from the actual utility bills. Let's see. Other items that we have. Let's see, we actually have $75,000 worth of rollover from unspent budget from the previous fiscal year, and these would be related to the 911 system and the K-9 unit. Again, that's $75,000 of money that was budgeted in the prior fiscal year, but which was not spent in that year. So this amendment would be to simply move it from that prior year to this current year. In addition to that $75,000, it would also be another $24,870 of rollover from unspent budget in the prior fiscal year related to the K-9 unit. So we're moving approximately $100,000 of unspent funds from the previous fiscal year to this fiscal year. Basically, it's a timing reason for the expenditures. There was also a very small amount for the library where they did receive a $2,000 grant for purchase of tablets, and the tablet cost was $2,900. So we have to do an amendment for $940 to cover the additional cost. But I think it's well worth it. If you have a final statement on that would be the proposed budget amendment has an impact on the fund balance of the general fund while keeping the estimated fund balance at approximately 17% of annual expenditures, which is above our goals. The amendments to all the other funds keep the balance at targeted ranges and are done in compliance with the state of Michigan requirements and guidelines. Any questions?
Jamin, for clarification, just can you inform the public our goal for fund balance versus expenditures is what?
The last I looked, and I was looking this up before I came in, it was 9%, I believe, and so we are obviously well above that. But that number, again, was as of 2016. Sandra, unfortunately, isn't here right now. She is the guru on our budget. But again, being above that number is obviously always a good thing. So.
So, I'm sorry, you said our fund balance was 9%?
Our
Goal.
fund, it's actually, it's 8% for, versus revenues and 10% actually for expenditures. So we, at 17, we're obviously well above the requirement and policy. So not double, but
Is there a resolution approving the budget amendment 2018-1 for period ending 12/31/17?
So moved?
Support.
Moved and supported. Are there questions on this?
Radner.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Madam Mayor, members of council, 15D is just a follow-up from our special meeting when we discussed our auditor. In that discussion, we talked about the possibility of extending our current auditor's contract for a period of 1 year. This recommended action, in fact, does that at a cost of $50,000. And the proposal that they offered is on the second page. Third page, really. And, you know, you have several options in front of you, but we agreed to do it for 1 year, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Okay. First, we need a motion to remain with Riemann Robson Limited and exercise the extension option to complete the fiscal year of 2018 audit in the amount of $50,000.
So moved?
Support.
Moved and supported. Are there questions about Riemann Robson or staying with this option? No. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Mr. Deputy Finance Director, if you could do 15E and F, please.
15E, it's a request to adopt the proposed dates for the March Board of Review for our annual assessment inquiries, and also the rate of pay for the board members. This would set Monday, March 12th from 12 to 5 and 6 to 9 p.m., Tuesday, March 13th from 6 to 9 p.m., and Monday, March 26th from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. You'll notice that there is an additional half of a day in there, and that's at the request of our assessor on record, being that the demand has been there recently for those reviews. The rate would continue to remain the same at $80 for a full day and $40 for a half day. That would be a total of $1,200 potentially in fees for the board members. However, in prior years, we have not needed all $1,200.
Is there a motion to adopt this rate of compensation for the Board of Review?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions about this issue? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried.
15F, please.
15F is a request to adopt the proposed 2018 poverty exemption policy. It's an update to our 2017 policy, which simply updates and adopts the federal poverty limit guidelines. Again, it's 1.5% of those federal limits, which would include an asset test as well. If you have any questions regarding the policy, I'll try my best to go over them.
Is there a motion to adopt the
So-
City of Oak Park poverty exemption policy?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Are there questions on this issue? Yes, Councilmember Weiss.
I was just wondering, what is the process for notifying the public about this process if
So-
they were to be in need of this?
So we do actually receive quite a few phone calls in Treasury. people inquiring about assistance or help. So this is information that we readily provide to people. The assessor is here as well during city hours and can fill them in on the process itself. It is quite a lengthy process. It does go through the Board of Review. There are, again, with the asset test, there's quite a bit of filing, but it's not something that we try to hide. We do let everybody know about it. In addition to the other exemptions that we have, the veteran exemption, there's also a deferral of penalties for eligible seniors and poverty and guidelines as well. So we do make every attempt we can when people inquire to offer as much as we can and let them know about the program.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Please, Member Rich.
In simple English, if somebody qualifies for this, what type of reduction, what type of assistance, what do they get?
Yeah, so the form itself and the review process, it's again very thorough. So you could potentially receive an exemption 100% of your taxes, but it's more likely that you would receive some type of a percentage discount, basically. And again, it would be based on the income. You do receive a benefit from the state, your homestead property tax credit, which is taken into account. And so typically people would receive a small reduction, I guess a moderate reduction in their property taxes, in addition to receiving that benefit from the state for their home property or homestead tax credit. So it's not a full exemption most of the time. However, we did have, I forget my numbers here. See, we had in 2017 tax year, so I guess the current tax year in, we have 12 poverty exemptions, 15 in 2016 and 16 the year prior in 2015 tax year. So it is something that people are taking advantage of. And again, it's not something that we try to hide. If people are in need, we do let them know the program, and we try to get them in touch with the assessor so that we can get them as quickly as possible through the process. So.
And the numbers that are listed here under the blue line, 2017 total household resources, that would include all W-2 income plus Social Security income?
Yes, it would be, there is it's a Michigan 1040 CR. The forms that they have to file, you have to excuse me, the process is actually handled by the assessor, so they're a little bit more in depth with the actual forms that are required, but it would go through all total household resources, which is listed on that Michigan 1040 CR, and then also, again, there would be an asset test, which basically would look at if you have a car that you own that is worth a significant amount of money that's paid off that you own, and that can be liquidated, that's taken into account. So. There's quite a few items that come into play.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor McCollum.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bradley.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember White.
Yes.
Councilmember Byrne.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Jamin.
Thank you.
15G, I'd like to call the Director of Public Safety, Steve Cooper, up to the podium to join me to go over this one.
Good evening again to the Mayor, Council, City Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk. Before you is the proposal asking that the Oak Park Department of Public Safety permission to submit a joint application to the Assistance to the Firefighter Grant with Huntington Woods, Berkeley, and the Beverly Hills Departments of Public Safety. The purpose of the grant would be to replace our supply of self-contained breathing apparatus. Our SCBAs that we are currently using aid our officers while breathing in exposed, dangerous life and health atmospheres while performing firefighter operation. The current equipment that they're using is no longer in compliance with the National Fire Protection Association, and the equipment is no longer being supported by the NFPA, making repairs and serviceability extremely difficult. For 3 consecutive years, prior to 2007, the Public Safety Department had attempted to obtain this grant solo, but we were unsuccessful. In 2007, a collaborative effort between the agencies that I just mentioned submitted an application, and we were able to receive the award. This effort allowed the agencies to take advantage of the most efficient pricing and facilitated each agency being supported with the same equipment, which is extremely valuable and critical during mutual aid incidents. The Oak Park portion of the award would be $276,050 with a 20% match, which comes up to $55,210. And this would equip our department with 32 SCBAs, 90 air bottles, 52 masks, and 2 RIT packs. And RIT packs are actually used for emergency rescue operations in case a firefighter went down inside a structure where the atmosphere was not conducive to breathing, or if we had to do a rescue with one of our residents, that's what we would use the RIT pack for. It consists of an emergency air bottle, a mask, and also a quick connector adapter. I'm asking the mayor and council to authorize the Department of Public Safety in conjunction with the Huntington Woods, Berkeley, and Beverly Hills Department of Public Safety to apply for this assistance to the firefighters grant for the purposes of purchasing the above-mentioned equipment. And also, if the grant is awarded, mayor and council to authorize the acceptance of such award for the said purpose with the 20% match to be absorbed by the general fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have for me.
First, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Are there questions about this matching funds or anything about this purchase?
Question for the director, or maybe for
Councilmember
Mr.
Rich.
Tungate. If I understand this correctly, if we receive this grant, our investment's $55,000, but then we get $276,000. So although it's taking money from the general fund to 55, it's a pretty good investment. I have the math right, Mr. Tungate?
His math is spot on. And
okay, and then the next question I
agree
have
with
is
that
the
assessment.
equipment from this grant. I'm assuming this is equipment that over the course of the next 5, 6, 7 years we'd have to purchase anyways?
Yes,
So it's a no-brainer.
exactly.
Madam Mayor, may I just to weigh in, the only issue with this at all, I mean, this, as the director correctly states, I mean, this is equipment that's vital to the department, but the only issue, as he's alliterated here, is that it's not budgeted. We weren't, at the time we were doing the budget, not prepared for this opportunity. So the 55,000, our portion of it, would have to come from the general fund balance. It's the only issue I see, and I don't know that it's an issue.
Well, over the course of the next 5, 6, 7 years, we will not have to purchase these items. I'm assuming they'll have a lifespan that'll last longer than that, right?
Like I said, the current stuff that we're using, we can use it, but it's not supported any further. You're not going to be able to get parts. They're not making parts for it, and it does not meet the standards. So you're looking at obsolete equipment, basically. And just so council's aware, it's a competitive grant, so in no way are we guaranteed that we're actually going to receive the award. And you're correct in saying what you said, Councilmember Rich, that if we don't get the award and we're not successful with this grant, obviously we're already looking for funding sources, but at some point I would be coming back to council saying that we need to purchase this equipment, and the $276,000 price tag is not going to get any cheaper and it's not going anywhere.
This is not specialized. It is specialized, but this isn't equipment that's going to sit on the shelf. It's stuff that's used. It's going to be in everybody's car or truck. You're going to use it, right?
It looks like kind of like a scuba pack. It's a big air bottle and has a mask with like a backpack harness, and we use that every single time we go into a structure fire. We also use those when we are fighting vehicle or dumpster fires. You have a mask that you don, and it actually is your breathing source. So yeah, it's a critical piece of equipment, and it's not something that sits on a shelf. It's used routinely, and it's mandated, and you can't operate without it.
Thank you very much. I know that Mr. Tungate is very protective of our fund balance, but he's not voicing any objections. It sounds like if we get this is a pretty good deal.
Well, don't forget, for these to make it to the agenda, they have to have my signature, so I am very much support of this.
Member Weiss.
I just have 2 quick questions.
Yes.
One is the equipment that this grant would provide, is that adequate for what is needed?
Yes. Like I said, the SCBA harness and packs, we don't necessarily need one for each individual officer because we're not going to have all 52 officers working at one particular time. but the mask is an individualized piece of equipment, so each officer that you currently have on staff would need a mask. So the equipment that I have listed here is reflective of our manpower and status as we stand today. Now, as we add, we will have to purchase, but we can piecemeal that, as we get, more staff aboard, which would obviously not be as costly as a lump sum payment.
All right, and my other question, I don't know if you would know that at this stage or not, but do you know, since this is a grant that you're going in with 3 different cities, who will be the fiscal agent on the grant?
It escapes me at this time. I believe the last time we did this, we were I think the fiduciary that handled the divvying up of the money. I want to say, I don't want to say, I don't know with 100% certainty here, so I don't want to speculate. But it's, it's a no-brainer. There's no issue. It's just probably who wanted to get stuck with the burden of handling the funding of handling or divvying out the funds. So it worked seamless in 2007.
When do we find out who gets the grant?
We're looking, I think I wrote that down as well. It could be anywhere between March and December before all the money is dispersed. So we may be looking here for a little bit. I'm optimistically hopeful, but like I said, you're talking about a lot of agencies competing for a limited pool of money, and we were successful the last time, and I'm hoping, like I said, by the collaborative effort as we did before, that we'll be able to secure it again. Keep our fingers crossed.
Councilmember Burns.
I think you just answered my question. I was going to ask, when was the last time the equipment was updated? So we're looking around 2007 when the...
Yes, that's when we outfitted the department. So what are you looking at, 11 years ago?
Okay. Thank you.
We ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Director Maroney, could you join me at the podium for 15H and I, please?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. We have one of our famous business owners, Patrick Petit, in the audience today. He is applying for a facade improvement grant that in a maximum of $2,500 is what our max is. He's going to be replacing the windows on the front side of his building, excuse me, and hopefully doing his expansion into the building next door to it. He has been growing by leaps and bounds and needs some more space, so he's looking at doing some improvements on the building he's currently in. So we're asking that you approve his grant application.
So first, is there a motion to approve this facade improvement grant?
So moved?
Is there support?
Second?
Moved and second. Could, Mr. Petit is kind enough to serve on our corridor improvement board as a board member, as well as running a very successful business in the city of Oak Park that's bringing people from everywhere. Everywhere. He is quite a draw. And we're thrilled that he's expanding into Oak Park. I told him he's not allowed to move, but I don't know how long that's going to work for me. But can you come up and tell us what you're going to do with the grant money?
Well, good evening. Excuse me, been baking all day, getting ready for Fat Tuesday. That's what the big smile is on. It's going to be, I call it boot camp for bakers. All I can do is shake my head and thank God for that day. And that's with a smile. And so, but basically what we're going to do is, what we're looking to do is, we're shutting down our West Bloomfield location. And the mayor said I can't go to the city of Detroit. So put my head down, and there it is. I'm stuck here on punishment for the rest of my life with the city of Oak Park, which is a good thing. So we're going to get the building next door, which was Tech Cleaners. We're going to open that up, and that's going to be our baking facility. Keep the Oak Park location that we have, which is right next door, expand that just a little bit deeper so that we can carry some longer hours, start offering things like cheesecake, ice cream, a little bit more that's going to be offered. And what we're going to do with this grant, we're just going to get the windows done on the new side so that way it can look like it has some sense. Because it's been Tech Cleaners, They haven't did anything with that in ages. One of my first jobs I had back 30-something years ago, got fired from it, earned it. So they haven't did something, that building's been just there. So that's the plan, improve it. Also got some other things that I want to do, talk to Davita Colbert as far as doing a co-op with the students once we open it up to teach them how to become an entrepreneur that's loan to run the facility, cash register, things of that nature with the high school, so that they can hopefully get some credit hours. That's something we're kind of working on. She said I can't leave either. So I guess I'm, you know, I don't want to leave. Grew up here, had our real estate company here for 20 years. My father founded, so I wasn't trying to leave. But, you know, got some good things, some good plans, you know. Got a vision just for that strip mall because Oak Park, it's time for a makeover. Not saying there's something wrong with it, but it's just time for people to know Oak Park more than just, and nothing personal. Don't go through there, the police gonna stop you. Yeah, you know, and that's a good thing because it keeps things, it keeps things under control. So we need to be no more than just don't go through there because the police will stop you, which is good because it keeps things under control. So that's a good thing. So this is pretty much what we plan to do.
We're delighted that Hometown Boy Makes Big happened. It's Oak Park's story.
Yep.
We're real proud of you and what you've accomplished in something totally new, not real estate. It was a guts move, and it was brilliant.
And we're looking to team up too with Myers real soon, where which is good. You know, I look at something and I'm not saying I'm the draw, but something has to put Oak Park on the map even further. We want to where if you go to Chicago, first thing you go to when you go downtown, go to Cheesecake Factory, you go to Garrett's Popcorn. If you didn't go to those two things, you wasn't in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So, or if you didn't even think about going to Oak Park, you know, it has to have a draw. And I'm not just saying it because I'm the owner of it, because, again, you know, I'm sitting here every day, I see people coming from Canada. 2 young ladies over there eating a half a cheesecake from Canada, going back across the bridge. I'm like, wow. You know, people are coming from Atlanta. People are coming from all over. When they come, and it just has started, they're coming to get our cheesecake, which is a blessing. So, you know, use me for what I am. Use me for the draw that we can be for the Oak Park, because we got to have a reason for them to talk about Oak Park, to say, go get some cheesecake. Again, it's going to benefit me, but that's not the bigger picture. It's still, you know, I still want to give back due. And like I said, whatever you have in front of you, just use me. I have no problem with it.
Just it's a family working together and being so successful. It's just a pleasure to see it. Thank you for coming.
Okay, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Are we ready to vote on the facade improvement grant?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say, I love the fact that you own the building that you got fired from 30 years ago. I think that's great.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Unanimous. We're delighted. Thank you.
15I, please. Director Maroney.
Yes, as I've mentioned before, we are going through the Redevelopment and Ready Community Certification Program. One more step that we need to complete leads us in that direction of getting our certification, and that is adopting a complete streets plan. The first step that we have in front of you tonight is a resolution in support of a complete streets policy for Oak Park, and it gives us guidance in future developments to make sure that we're considering all forms of transportation, people walking on the street, your bicyclists, as well as automobile, and public transportation, instead of just considering the car, which is typically what's been done in the past. So the policy you'd be adopting tonight makes sure that in future projects we are considering all forms of transportation.
So before we do questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve a resolution supporting complete streets policies.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions or discussion about what are complete streets? Councilmember Rich.
We have state statutes on roads and highways. We have a motor vehicle code. I have no clue what complete streets means, and I noticed that here in the resolution it's in quotes. I don't know what we're buying by doing this resolution. Why do we have to do this resolution?
With complete streets, we're trying to create a walkable and bikeable community that takes into consideration the needs of everybody, whether somebody who has needs for being handicap accessible, somebody who walks, does not own a car, somebody who bikes to work or uses public transportation. And the way the roads are designed today, or projects that we consider, we don't take those aspects into consideration. Creating a policy has us take a look at those items and make sure that we're either incorporating them when necessary, or in some instances, we wouldn't have to include all forms of transportation, depending on what the project actually is. But it wants us to consider all of those forms of transportation when we do a project.
When we do a project, we would have to adhere to state law anyways. Is there a reason for a particular grant? Is there a reason because,
Well, with the
I'm not following why we have to go ahead and make a vague resolution that has a term that's
So
not well
part of this-
defined, and then we tie ourselves to something that might suit somebody else's agenda who may not even be in this room. So I really don't understand why we would do this.
So with the Redevelopment Ready Communities program, part of that is that you have to try and create that walkable, pedestrian, bikeable, friendly community, and consider all forms of transportation when you're doing any types of development. Currently, we have no standards in the city of Oak Park, and we don't consider anybody else's needs other than the car when we're doing any type of development. Whether it's parking standards, we don't include any type of bicycle parking standards. It's just for cars. We want to make sure that we're looking at everybody's needs moving forward. We haven't in the past. As far as grants go, once we become a certified community, we do open the door to many grants that we can offer to businesses that would be hoping to locate here in Oak Park that we currently don't have access to today. And when you look at Act 51 money, I believe it's 10% of all those funds is supposed to be used towards these types of developments.
And
Well-
this is going to give us another green light on that long list of things that we had to do. You know, when we get that presentation about becoming a redevelopment-ready community, and we were halfway through, and there was a few things that we had to do. This is one of them.
But when I look at
Right.
the definition in the first paragraph here, complete streets are defined as streets that safely accommodate all legal users of the right-of-way, including pedestrians, people requiring mobility aids, bicyclists and drivers and passengers of transit vehicles, trucks, automobiles, and motorcycles. That's state law already, so why are we passing a, I don't understand why we have to pass, I see Mr. Yee's got something to say about this. That's what I'm wondering, is there something that we're missing here? Is there something in the cooking that we're missing here that we have to have this? Because I don't see any need for us to do a resolution that says basically nothing unless it really has something hidden in there that says something that we're not being told.
Good evening. I would like to add on to what Director Moroney was discussing here. We are required as part of Act 51 to consider complete streets and have a complete streets policy. So this is our complete streets policy. It's a resolution passed that we will consider complete streets when designing roadways, so that we are looking to accommodate all users whenever we're doing a construction project.
Does Act 51 use the term, quote, complete streets, unquote?
It does actually use complete streets.
It's a requirement, too, to receive Act 51 monies.
Right.
Well, we get Act 51 money, and we don't have this resolution.
We do get it, but we're supposed to have this resolution. We are supposed to consider it. And part of Act 51, we have to, as the streets administrator, I have to fill out and sign a form that shows the percentage of non-motorized improvements that we're doing. So part of our Act 51 requirement is that we're doing non-streets activities anyway. This is the policy that shows that we are actually enacting it, and something that we're supposed to have in place in order to receive our full allotment of Act 51 funds.
Yeah, I think this,
Further questions? Councilmember Burns.
well, it's not a question, it's more or less a statement as usual. But I think this was, I know
Statement as
as
usual.
Councilmember Rich stated, the state already mandates this, but they may mandate it, but it's so generalized, and this is like a contract that's saying we're actually doing it, taking other people's needs into consideration, because now, and I'm glad for it, because I have a special needs niece, and she has a special bike. I can't use it on 9 Mile because of the way the curbs are. So this is saying that we're going to take things like that into consideration when we're planning things for the city. I mean, by us putting it in writing, it says we actually had to do it. Right now, it's just kind of, It's generalized in the state law somewhere, but by us making a resolution, we're putting our commitment on paper to do it. And in addition, it will help us get those additional funds from the state when we become a redevelopment-ready
Madam Mayor,
community.
I have a question for Mr.
Okay.
Yee.
Anyone else have a
Yeah.
question?
No, just me.
Councilmember Rich.
In the past few years, I've noticed that you've been involved with certain road construction projects. Am I correct in my assumption that each of those projects you've taken care of to adhere to state law to make sure that they're handicap accessible at the curbs, et cetera?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, so, thank you very much. I just, the only other thing I have is a statement. I don't see any reason for us to do a resolution to confirm what we're already doing.
Okay. Any other comments? Ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
No.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Yee, 15J, please.
Thank you. Attached is an addendum from OHM Advisors for a contract amendment for the Coolidge Highway Bridge Enhancement Project. The amendment is for an increase of $12,500 for redesigning the bridge enhancement project, including revising electrical and structural plans, and submitting the package to MDOT and FHWA for approval. As you know, this is with the design that was approved at the last special council meeting. They need to rework those plans, and we need to get those submitted. So that's the engineering portion of the increase that they discussed at the meeting. It is recommended that the addendum from OHM Advisors for a contract amendment for the Coolidge Highway Bridge Project, Enhancement Project, for an hourly not-to-exceed amount of $12,500 is approved. It's further recommended that funding be utilized from the general fund balance for this expenditure.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions about this one or discussion? Councilmember Weiss.
Could you just explain really quickly the increase, what it's for?
So the increase, first, OHM Advisors after they had met the contractual obligation, we had an approved set of plans that have already been submitted to MDOT. We wanted to take another look at that, and so they drew up 3 new different renderings of different designs and presented those before City Council. And on top of that, then they had to go back, after we chose one of those designs, they have to go back and do structural and electrical plans. We changed the lighting on it, and we changed the appearance of it, which also changes the load, the wind load, and the column size, and things like that. So they have to redo the structural drawings, resubmit those to MDOT, and then from MDOT, they go to Federal Highway.
Further questions?
We're not going to do this again, are we? We're gonna stick with one of the designs this time?
Yeah, we're going to go. Yep. We ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Madam Mayor, members of council, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now at call to the audience. If you would like to come up and say something, please give us your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you. Anybody? No. It's a quiet group tonight. They're too cold to talk. All right. Call to the council. Mayor Pro Tem.
Good night, everybody.
Councilmember Burns.
Goodbye.
Councilmember Weiss.
I didn't mean for that to come out. Wait. Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
That's the best call the council you've ever had.
I meant to say thank you for coming out and have a pleasant evening. And a few times I've been out and about at certain events, like the night at the zoo, and I always see Petite Cheesecake. You have a booth there. You're getting very well known, and I am so glad you're in Oak Park and that you are continuing to stay here.
Amen.
Okay, now, thank you. Good night.
Councilmember Weiss.
It's hard to follow. I apologize in advance because I'm getting over a cold, so I'm sorry that I sound like I'm underwater. But I just have a few things I wanted to let everybody know about. The Daddy-Daughter Dance is coming up on Sunday, February 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. The cost is $10 per person or $20 for a couple, and it's for ages 3 and up. And it's not just for dads. If it's a stepdad, older brother, grandfather, father figure, etc., they are welcome. You have to RSVP, though, by February 8th, and you can do that by calling 248-691-7555. Also, Winterfest is coming up on Sunday, February 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. There are free carriage rides, cookie decorations, ice skating, s'mores, chili, and hot chocolate, etc., so please come out. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that the library recently applied for a grant through the Young Adult Library Services Association for, I believe it was $40,000 in new books, audiobooks, materials, etc. And our library was one of 3 across the entire country that was selected for that grant. So good news in Oak Park.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Good night.
Councilmember Rich.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Stay warm. The best thing you can do to stay away from the flu is wash your hands a lot. Even after you blow your nose, after you do anything, before you touch anything, before it sounds kind of low tech, but Center for Disease Control says it's the #1 best thing you can do to stay healthy in the winter. So stay healthy and have a good week. Thank you and good night.